This is a short video about brake lever free play. This is an aftermarket brake lever on the front of a 916. And often when you get aftermarket levers, the thing you really need to pay attention to is the free play. Now on this one I actually had too much, so I've wound it in, but the question becomes, how far do you wind it in? Or if you fitted a new lever, how do you tell if you need to wind it out? So the test that I usually do, and being an old single pin caliper bike, it's really easy. Get some expanding pliers and just push the brake pads back. And the brake pads have gone back, the brake fluid's gone up in the reservoir, and if we pump the lever, we'll push the pads back out. And so that's the pads back out now. If we wind this adjuster in, which is the push rod adjuster here, half a turn, and we do that again, try and push the pads back and they won't move. Or maybe just a tiny bit, slowly moving. Like that, it's probably going to lock the brakes on. What's happening is, in the master cylinder where the fluid enters here, there's two holes. And one of them, the one at the front here, which is a really small hole, often is blocked, and I run a 0.6mm drill bit through them. That hole is called the compensating port. And so when you push the pads back, the fluid comes back up into the master and out and flows into the reservoir. Now, if that compensating port is blocked by the piston because someone's wound this in too far, and I'll wind it back out the half turn as needed. If someone's wound this in too far, or the lever as delivered has it wound in too far, the compensating port in here is blocked. And often what happens if you try and suck fluid through with a vacuum bleeder, you'll still get fluid to suck through, so you might be able to bleed it. But when you ride it and the brakes start getting hot with the heat from the disc, the brake fluid tries to expand. And when it expands, it just pushes back up through the hose into the reservoir. If the compensating port is blocked, the fluid can't expand into the reservoir, and so the brake system, everything on the pressure side of the seal, it gets pressurized. And when that happens, the front brakes come on and the bike stops. Usually it goes from a little bit of resistance to locked up in a second or so. It's very quick. And if you're riding along, you'll possibly go down, or you'll stop very suddenly. The only way you can get it to move again, there's three ways. The first way is wind the adjuster out, let the piston come back, port clears, fluid expands out into the reservoir, and it's fine again. Or you can crack a banjo or crack the bleeder and let the pressure out of the system, or you can sit there and wait for it to cool down. Probably about 15 minutes is enough to get them to move again. And so that's the consequence of having this adjuster wrong. And that just shows you that half a turn is enough between good and not good. I think I managed to push them back a bit last time, but it wasn't flowing very much at all. And there's no way I would ride it with the adjuster at that setting. I just wouldn't be confident, because they do just stop really quickly. You don't get much time at all.